In an urban village in a third-tier city in China, the first 2 floors of my parents' 3-story self-built house add up to more than 300 square meters. But if they rent out these 2 floors, the yearly rent is only about 40,000 yuan, or around 5,900 US dollars. Is that a lot or a little? Today, I came back to my parents' home because my mother is planning to rent out the first and second floors. To make that possible, she needs to renovate the unfinished 3rd floor and move upstairs herself. Hi, I'm Len. I'm a Chinese mom sharing quiet and real everyday life in China. At first, this may sound like a simple family matter, but behind it, there is a very real question many ordinary Chinese families face. When a house is big, old, and not easy to rent out, is it still an asset, or does it slowly become pressure? Right now, I'm standing on the 1st floor of my parents' house. This floor is more than 160 square meters, but it is very simple, with almost no decoration. It has been rented out for many years. Together with a small storage building next to it, the yearly rent for the 1st floor is about 25,000 yuan, or around 3,700 US dollars. For such a large space, this may sound surprisingly low, but in a 3rd-tier city, especially in an urban village like this, the value of a house is not only decided by its size. Location, environment, parking, lighting, and how easy it is to use all matter. The 2nd floor is where my parents live now. The living conditions are quite ordinary. This floor was renovated when I was in middle school, around 1998. So many things already feel old. Most of the time, it is just my parents living here. I usually only come back during Chinese New Year or other holidays. So for them, this is not just a house. It is the place where they have spent many years of their everyday life. But now, in order to rent out the 1st and 2nd floors, my mother has to move upstairs to the unfinished 3rd floor. Then I walked up to the 3rd floor. My husband and my parents were discussing how this floor should be renovated. Right now, this space is still unfinished. So many things need to be planned from the beginning. For my mother, this is not about making a beautiful new home. It is about creating a simple place where she and my father can actually live. Only after they move up here can the 1st and 2nd floors be rented out. So every decision has to be practical. How much money to spend, what needs to be fixed first, and how to make the space livable without wasting too much. After looking around the 3rd floor, my husband and I were going to visit my uncle's house nearby. His house has already been rented out and is also being renovated, so we wanted to take a look. On the way there, I could see very clearly what this urban village is like. The roads between the houses are very narrow, and the buildings stand extremely close to one another. In some places, it is difficult for a car to drive through. But at the same time, almost every family here has a very large self-built house. Many of these houses were built quite early, around the 1990s. I was born in 1985, so this is the kind of place I grew up in. When I was a child, This area already looked like this: tall self-built houses, narrow lanes, and neighbors living very close to each other. What has changed is everything around it. The houses in the village are still here, but outside the village, there are now wide roads, big parks, shopping malls, and modern apartment buildings. The gate at the front of this narrow alley is the entrance to my uncle's house. His house is in the last row of the urban village. The part where my uncle and his family live is actually very simple. The renovation is quite old, and the lighting and ventilation are not very good. But behind this house, there is now a large waterfront park. About 10 years ago, as the surrounding area was being developed, the local government built this park nearby. Because of that, the back part of my uncle's house became much easier to rent out. The most comfortable part of the house is the backyard facing the park. But for a yearly rent of about 20,000 yuan, or around $3,000, they rented that space out. For many ordinary families, this is a very real choice. The best part of the house is not always kept for themselves. Sometimes it has to become income. The quiet waterfront park and the modern high-rise apartments around it formed a sharp contrast with this urban village tucked inside. It felt like the newer city had grown around this place, while the old houses were still trying to find their own way to survive. After leaving my uncle's house, I walked back to my mother's place. Then my husband and I drove with my cousin and his wife to a very local countryside-style restaurant, where we had invited the renovation contractor to dinner. In China, especially when dealing with things like home renovation, inviting someone to a meal is often a way to show respect and build trust. Many practical details are not only discussed at home or on paper, but also slowly talked through at the dinner table. My husband ordered the restaurant's signature chicken and fish. What makes this place special is that the dishes are cooked on a traditional brick stove, with the fire burning underneath the wok. This kind of cooking gives the food a strong aroma and a very rustic flavor. For my grandmother's generation, and even when my mother was young, this was a common way to cook at home. Now, in many places, it has become a local restaurant specialty. But for my parents' generation, it is also a taste connected to their memories. While we were waiting for the dishes to be ready, my mother started talking with my cousin about the rental process. She also talked with the renovation contractor about what she wanted for the third floor, what needed to be fixed, what could be kept simple, and how to make the space livable without spending too much. Maybe this was the real meaning of this meal. It was not just about treating someone to dinner. It was a way to sit down, talk things through, and slowly turn a complicated family matter into something practical. The dishes from the traditional brick stove were finally ready, and everyone started eating and chatting. My husband and my cousin drank beer together, and for a moment, the worries about rent, renovation, and money seemed to become part of an ordinary family meal. Life is not easy for any generation, but ordinary people are always trying to adjust, to move forward, and to make life a little better. This is just one small part of my ordinary life. Thank you for being here with me. I hope life treats you gently today.